Well, next up on the podcast, it is our prep spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency. And we like to talk to some of the coaches in the area. And we've got the great head coach of the Chesaning Indians has turned the program around now in his second year, Matt Walter. And man, a couple big wins this year. Let's start right there. Did you guys really start believing in yourselves after that new Lothrop game?
Oh, absolutely. And I think even last year when we had our first winning season, our guys started buying in, and the younger underclassmen started buying in. And then our staff is amazing at getting these kids prepared. Like my defensive coordinator, my offensive coordinator, getting them ready for New Lothrop was, on point. Everything, we knew it was coming, and we knew they couldn't stop our zone offense. And it showed. And same thing with Montrose. We knew it was coming, and our defense, I think, held them to 109 yards, 2 yards rushing. So these kids are locked in, and they're ready to go.
Yep.
How does it feel beating those like top programs like a Montrose, like a New Lothrop? The last few years against New Lothrop, really for the last 10, 15 years against New Lothrop, it's been some pretty lopsided losses. How does it feel to kind of knock off those premier, name brand programs?
Well, it just shows the kids that hard work pays off, and they can do it. Sometimes I always tell them they play against the name on the jersey and not the person inside the jersey. And when you get beat so many times and beat pretty bad, you kind of get that in your mindset. And these kids are not in that mindset. They're the most competitive kids I know. Even in flag football, they're competing against each other, coaching with the little kids, and everything they do, they compete.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about it before with coaches we've had on, is building a program from all the way down to first, second, third graders, kind of establishing that full program. And speaking of, a program, we were talking before we started recording, so the three of us are Corunna guys, and I graduated in 2003. The Chesaning that I remember was watching Ryan Brady win a state title in 1998. And then in 2001, the state title that Chesaning won, was a big deal for mid-Michigan. Chesaning was the premier program in our area. That's what almost like the standard. You wanted to play up to Chesaning's standard. So I remember in 2002, my senior year, after you guys had won that state title, it was a huge deal coming in. Chesaning came to Corunna, and we were able to win, being able to beat Chesaning, defending state champs. It was a big deal. Since then, Chesaning's kind of had some bumps in the road. Made the playoffs in 2020, but before then hadn't made the playoffs since 2007. I don't say that to say anything bad about Chesaning. I say that to say, like, how do you reestablish that premier Chesaning program that, Ted and I remember, that you've probably heard a lot about, or you just remember? How do you kind of get the kids believing, the community, the coaches, everything like that? How do you reestablish what Chesaning was?
Well, when I came in, I wanted to make sure we were going to be our own team. We're really happy. We're really proud of the 98, 2001. And if we can get to that point, absolutely. But we wanted to kind of be our own identity, bring it back a little bit, bring pride. So I wanted to make sure the community was supporting us. And so we try to go out and do a lot of stuff with the community. And anytime anyone wants to come to practice to watch us from our community, not from another team, but they can come watch us and see what we're doing. And, just because sometimes people, will go out and say they're not doing this or not doing that, but hey, come watch us in practice, see what we do, see, and our guys do a great job of getting out to community events. We were out at Garber for Stuff the Bus. We go read to the elementary every Friday. We do all this stuff to try to get, involved in the community. You build that tight knit, with the community, and if they're supporting you, good things are happening, obviously, and good, obviously times are good right now. But the support has been amazing. Even when last year we lost a couple games, blowouts to Montrose and New Lothrop, they were still supportive. They seen the progress, and that's, these kids have worked so hard for it, and it's starting to show now. So patience is virtue.
Yep.
You guys are going to have your chance at a little bit of revenge next week against Ovid Elsie. Just last year, you guys kind of broke the, I think it was 7 straight years. You guys didn't have a winning record. You guys got to 5-4 last year, snapped that streak. You guys are already 3-0 in the MMAC conference. You got 3 more games coming up against Ovid Elsie, Durand, Lakeville. Is that something you're starting to think about? Is, hey, maybe let's make a push here for this conference title? Is that one of your guys' goals before the season, or where are you guys at in that sense?
We're going to beat OE. That's our goal right now. Tonight, that was our goal. We watch film and we're on to OE. You know, that's what's so great about these guys is after a big win, Montrose and New Ultra, we're celebrating, we're happy. We come in Sunday, we're locked on. Let's get ready for the next game. And all these kids are focused. And yeah, obviously our goals were, my first goal was to have a winning record, then move into playoffs and then conference. Well, if you move into playoffs in this league, more than likely you've got a chance to win the conference. So that's our goal in the end is let's win the conference. Let's get to the playoffs. But right now our goal today is we're going to beat OE next week. And like you said about revenge, we remember last year, it was not pretty for us. And I'm telling you right now, our kids are ready to go already. If we could play right now, they would play right now.
Well, it's going to be a great matchup without a doubt. Now it's a home game, right, Matt?
Yes,
So
it's going to be
Chesaning.
our senior night. Yep.
Awesome. Well, you have some good seniors on the team, obviously, but also let's talk about some of your players. Okay, I know Braden Florian is having a great year. I know you were quoted in the Argus that he's a special running back. Start with him and maybe some of the other key players that you have that you want to spotlight a little bit.
Well, obviously, Braden Florian's had the numbers in the past 3-4 games of 200 yards rushing and a couple TDs. He is a tough back. And even last year, we told him there's no way you should go down on first contact, how big and strong you are in your first step. And he's actually, our running back coach has done a great job this year of teaching him how to cut one jump cut and get north and south, you know, and sometimes he wants to do a little bit too much. So he's done an amazing job. When you're big, you're strong, you're quick, and you have a quick first move, you're tough to bring down. And then you go to our O-line, that's 280, 270, 250, 205, 215. Wow. You know, our line was undersized last year. We had a guard that was probably 150 pounds, so to have the size we have now to just get in front of someone and move them. Right. It doesn't have to be a pancake block. Just get in front of someone and move them, be a door, and then he'll cut off you. And that's kind of where we've simplified it offensively so we can play faster and we don't have to think as much. And also our quarterback, Max, has done an excellent job. Last year, he would take some negative yards instead of getting rid of the ball or scrambling. And this year, he's done a great job of keeping us in front of the chains. And we have Brady Sager, who's our backup quarterback. He was hurt. He was actually hurt on Friday, so he didn't play. So our starting safety, but he's made tackle after tackle at our safety because we want them to be run support. Mm-hmm. So he's done a great job there. And what can you say about our defense? 28 points is all we've given up in the league. I mean, that is our defensive coordinator has these kids playing hard, and he's a great defensive mind, and the kids have bought in. They believe in what we're teaching them, and when the kids believe, they have the confidence to do it, and success will happen, and it's showed.
Yeah, that's huge when you can get the kids to buy in, and buy in, I guess is what it is, and you want them that they're actually listening to you. They're not just going out there to practice, going through the motions because they want to play football with their buddies or something like that. They know there's bigger goals, especially now after getting those big wins against New Lothrop and Montrose. Maybe that helps to really be like, look at this. This is what we've been talking about. This is the work that you're putting in. You mentioned, again, before we started recording, we were talking a little bit. You're kind of from my era, early 2000s. And now you've kind of bounced around the state coaching all the way up to the UP, over to the Thumb, and obviously now in Chesaning. What have you seen that is so much different in the high school game, whether it's on the field, off the field, coaching, strength and conditioning, anything, than back like in our days in the early 2000s?
Well, the weight room has changed a little bit. Back in the day, we hit the weight room all the time, and it seemed like it started to slow down a little bit, and they wanted to do some other things. But this year, even last year, we hired a strength conditioning coach, and the kids have hit the weights hard. They've hit it hard, and they see, oh man, if I put in this time, I'm talent's only going to take you so far. And, and all of a sudden now, I'm a little stronger. I'm a little physically stronger. Now I'm a little mentally stronger, so I can compete against these teams like New Lothrop and Montrose. And so that's what I've seen a big difference in. I'm also a detailed person. So when we practice, we have everything detailed. We're efficient. Small things matter in our program, very small things. Even walking by a young kid and giving them knuckles and say, hey, how's your day? Those things matter. And when you get to a game, your assignment is here, that even though it's a little thing and you might not make that tackle, but you plug that gap, guess what? That matters. So those little things, and those kids have bought into those little things. And when you do the little things, big things will happen.
Yep.
We were talking before the pod, Coach, and you've kind of been all over the state. I mean, you said you've been in the West Side, Ionia, you've been all the way up in the UP. I got a question about the UP later, but Chesaning, I tell you what, there's something magical about those Friday nights in Chesaning, even when I was growing up and a kid, even when the program maybe wasn't to the point it's at now. What's it been like kind of being the coach in that community and playing underneath those lights at that field?
Well, I've been doing this for 16 years. So if you're going to stress about stuff, it's going to hurt you. And I tried not to stress about it. My family does a great job of supporting me in that regard. You know, there's going to be stressful times, but
sure.
But even then, you just got to go in and prepare the kids the best you can. And what happens. If those kids, they've played hard for us, they like I said, they bought in, they believe. And then you go to our stadium. Oh, amazing stadium, amazing
Beautiful
turf, you know. Everything's good. The community, the support we get, you know, from our golf outing to our comedy show, all that's been amazing. So it's like no other Friday nights, you know, it's like no other. Yeah, you know, it's fun to have a college football game on a Saturday, but when Friday night comes out and the Enter Sandman's playing and you're getting ready to play, you just wish you could put the pads on and go out there one more time.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I agree. Now, I got a question for you. It might be a little lighthearted. I'm a fan of the TV coverage in their after game show, their Friday night shows, you know. And the highlight was the pass from Volk as he was sliding down, getting tackled, and he threw up kind of a Hail Mary to Florian. Did he catch that, or did the defensive back have that?
Oh, it was a completion.
Okay.
100% completion.
Had to ask it because I'm watching the video.
Yep,
I don't know.
Absolutely. He had it the whole time.
All right. Well done, Coach. Well done.
Absolutely. Great catch.
Speaking of that, we've had Sam Ali on. I don't know if it was his highlight you're talking about, Ted.
Yeah, it was.
Brandon Green we've had on a few times. He's at ABC 12 and some other media members. How do you like that? Even how that's changed since, you know, back in the early 2000s, back in, you know, our day, like having all these highlights on Twitter and YouTube and obviously on TV. Like how cool is that for the kids and for you to see?
It's pretty amazing. You see the smile on their face. Even tonight during film, one of the kids is like, "Coach, you should have taught us how to talk to the media," you know, and stuff like that. And it's like, you guys tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know, tell them how it is.
Be authentic.
Yeah. Don't try to be something different. Be truthful. You know, this worked, this didn't, you know, and I'm an honest person. I'm going to tell you how it is. And when I say like, these kids are locked in, these kids are locked in. Like I've never seen it so much in the eyes of kids. They want to be so successful on the field and off the field. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
I got one last question for you. I kind of teased it a little bit about you coaching in the UP. I tell you what, the idea of coaching in the UP football, high school football, sounds like maybe my dream job. I would quit what I'm doing right now and go and do it. It sounds awesome. What was that like, and what made you come back to, you know, kind of the mid-Michigan area?
So with coming back was family. You know, I have younger nieces and nephews. I want to see them grow up, and it was tough it was 10 hours away, you know, 9 and a half hours, but it was different. It was different coaching up there where I was at. We actually co-opted with 3 other schools, Jeffers, Chessel, Dollar Bay. So it was kind of tough. I would have to take time off to go recruit basically to get kids out. But I just remember the last game was our Copper Bowl every year, and you're out there in shorts, and then the next thing you know, it's snowing and it dropped 20 degrees. And, you know, I had to call a family member to go get me a sweatshirt because I didn't know that it was going to be like this. But it's good football. It really is good football. You know, Calumet up there has always been strong, and you know, Lake Linden's been strong. So it was good football. Just the weather was, I'll pass on that. I'll pass on that one.
Yeah. I feel like I'm blanking right now, but I feel like the last few years, I'm blanking, but I feel like the last few years, there's been some teams from the UP coming down to Ford Field and making it all the way to the state title game. I'm kind of forgetting which schools they are, but
you look at the top teams in Division 6, and I think Negaunee and Gladstone. I mean, those teams. I remember playing Menominee, and they had a offense that their offensive line was massive.
Double wing, is that what they ran?
Yep, but they would run the ball, but they could also throw out of that run, and it was tough to stop, and it It was they're monstrous up there. So
yeah, they have to be with that cold.
yeah, that's for sure. A lot of logging.
Yeah, exactly. So a little more off the topic of Chesaning. Again, before we started recording, came up here, an Ionia grad, and I knew your name sounded familiar. And Ted, once we kind of started talking, said the same thing. So again, we're from the same era, 3 Corunna guys. Basketball quarterfinals when my team, Jared's dad was the coach. We made it to the quarterfinals against your Ionia team. Mm-hmm. You had to be sure to bring up that Ionia was one of our 2 regular season losses that year, which really we burned the tape. Famous thing. Jared's dad buried the tape. We never watched that tape in practice afterwards. That's crazy. It's just crazy. Small world. Like I said, I knew your name kind of sounded familiar. How cool were those memories? And maybe like, how do you take those memories you have? You played football also at Ionia, and then going on a deep run in basketball. How do you kind of take those experiences and let it translate, I guess, to coaching?
Well, it's unlike anything. You're the pressure's there, all that type of stuff, and you got to have fun. As you get older and stuff like that, you try to do too much, and like I said, I airballed a pretty important shot, and the pressure was there, and so you look back and bad things are going to happen. And I said it Friday night, bad things are always going to happen. You're not going to stop everyone. You're not going to stop every touchdown. You're not going to stop every yard. You just got to keep fighting through it, and that's in life today. Kids just got to keep fighting through stuff. Bad things are going to happen. And our kids right now are starting to understand that, it's a whole new ultra at the end. And they got down to the 5-yard line,
5-yard line. Yeah. And you got to pick.
Great stop. And then, fitting that Alec Fowler picks it off, the kid that's our top leader and stuff like that. And they didn't bend. They didn't break, right. I should say. They let bend. They didn't break. And that's what we want to kind of do. And they were gaining 5-6 yards. That's fine. Keep gaining 5-6 yards. We're up, 14 points. We'll let you do that and run the clock. And that's what they got to understand a little bit, that stuff's going to happen. He's got to fight through.
Yeah. Last question for you, Matt, before we let you go. Just looking forward, what do the Indians have to do to get their goals the rest of this year?
We have to match physicality. We have to. You're going against OE, who they're big and physical, and then we got Duran the following week, who are big and physical. So we have to match. I told them Friday, we got to smack people in the face. You smack people in the face, they'll back off. Mm-hmm. You just got to keep smacking. You're going to get punched once in a while, but you got to smack back, and that's what it's going to come down to, our offense and defensive line. And I think we have one of the best offense defensive line in the area with what we do. So they just got to keep doing their thing, keep working hard. We talked about it tonight. We got to get back to work. We got to improve. Even though we're playing well, we still have to improve.
Well, Jim Rome has his jungle karma. You got 3-point karma, man. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Friday night and the rest of the year. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on and showing that Chesaning is coming back football wise. We want to make sure that people understand we're doing the right things, and we'll be back for sure.
Yeah. Well, no, awesome. we said it I think on Twitter or something. Mid-Michigan football is better when Chesaning is good. It just is.
Yep, and we read that stuff, so we appreciate that very much. Yeah. Our guys need that stuff. They need that reassurance from outside communities, because you'll get told you're great inside your community, but when all of a sudden you go outside your community and, hey, you guys are doing a good job. You got, now all of a sudden we got to face Chesaning. And that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. And we truly believe it too, man. So again, best of luck the rest of the way. Appreciate you taking time out. And we'll have a little bit more here on the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency right after this from the folks at Jacobs.
Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcasts, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
All right, guys, that was some good stuff with Matt. I mean, it's cool that we finally were able to put together the name. You knew him from playing against him, and I remember broadcasting when he played. But it's funny how it is such a small world, and he's doing a great job up there at Chesaning.
It's cool. And, you know, to get the experience, like Jared, you asked him about up in the UP. He said, we didn't talk about it in the interview, but he told us he was over in the Thumb for a little bit and then back now to mid-Michigan. So he understands the area. I mean, Ionia isn't necessarily mid-Michigan, but, you know, he understands, you know, maybe getting in the community and stuff like that. So you can tell, man, you can tell he's going to run a good program, just like last year. I remember when we interviewed John Webb at Durand. You can tell coaches that just get it, obviously, like Clint Galvis, whenever we talk to him, or, you know, there's some other coaches that we talk to that it's just like, you know, so you have ups and downs sometimes because sometimes you don't have as much talent or, you know, something like that in high school, but going to run a strong program for sure.
Well, that game last week was 16-6 at Montrose. The Indians won that one to improve to 4-1, 3-0 in the league. Braden Florian ran for, like he said, 200 yards, a couple touchdowns, and a field goal to go along with that. First win over the Rams since 2005. Now, I'll tell you what, guys, relook at Sam Ali's video. And I still think that's a debatable call, but it doesn't matter. It went Chesaning's way.
I watched it because I did watch the highlight. I wanted to see, you know, the highlight of that game. Yeah. I knew we might be having Coach on. Of course, Coach is going to say it was a catch. But
here's the important thing. They won by 10 points. So whatever, not a catch. They still won by 3. So
there you go. Not taking anything away from it. And speaking of good teams in our area, obviously Corunna, number 4 in Division 5. No problem on the road at Lake Fenton, 49-17. I mean, Wyatt Bauer just keeps going. Another monster game. 10 of 11, 260 yards, 3 touchdown passes. 2 to his twin, Tarek, 42 and 56 yards. Another 55-yarder to Lucas Curran. And then Wyatt ran for 165, 3 more touchdowns.
Insane.
I mean, it's an unbelievable year he's putting together, man.
It's video game numbers, and we talked about Lake Fenton. You know, maybe there might be a little down this year. You know, who knows? I don't know, but that's still a quality team, quality program. He's not doing it against just like, you know, JV teams. I mean, he's putting up these numbers against some pretty good programs. It's insane to see. He might. I mean, he's well on his way. He might. We don't want to counter chickens before they hatch. Is that the saying? Yeah. He might go down as the best Corunna football player, not just quarterback, Corunna player ever.
That's the next history. Step. He might be.
Well, Ted, you're funny you say that. I mean, you rank Strigo ahead of everybody every time we ask you. But then, I mean, I've been telling you this for years, but whatever, you always would put Strigo at the top. But anyway, I mean, it's going to be a great game this weekend. I mean, I can't wait. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get there. Stop into the booth, maybe at halftime, talk to Ted for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be excited to be calling this one, right? This is what you do it 40 years in the business for, right?
Absolutely. I'll be third mic, but I'll be definitely looking forward to that one. And just to clear the record, of course, my dad is a Bill Strigo fan. I didn't see him play. It was a little before my time.
But you always said that.
I did not. I always said Kyle Clough. I always said I was on record the last game we did. I said I brought up Bill Strigo because my dad said he's the greatest. I always thought Kyle Clough was. Corunna's had some good quarterbacks. Dave Harvey, Tony Hornis was an excellent quarterback, but I had always kind of leaned to Kyle Clough. Frankly, until you came along, Jared, and you had a really nice couple years there at Corunna. Yeah. But I have to throw you out because I'm related to you. But I came on the air on the football game, and I've said it a couple times now. Wyatt Bauer's the best quarterback I've ever seen at Corunna.
It's insane. That's it. When you watch his highlights, I mean, the running, it just looks like a natural runner. His passes are
perfect
on the money
for him.
I mean, he's a heck of. I mean, texting with some friends who go to the games still in the area. I'm surprised he's not getting D1 looks. I mean, I'm not necessarily, maybe not Michigan, or something like that.
Colorado State offered. State.
I mean, I guess more D. Maybe he is getting more D1 looks, but he's committed to SVSU, so maybe he's not looking. But
yeah, I mean, once you commit, I think I think a lot of people thought maybe they would wait to commit because of that. Like you said, like more offers would come in. But I mean, when you know, and Ryan Brady and SVSU, the Chesaning connection. Ryan Brady's been mentioned a few times on tonight's podcast, so. That's simple as that, But one thing I will say, Ted, that was funny about your quarterback Mount Rushmore You were describing it in these quote unquote legendary names.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is like if there's people out of town listening to them, they don't know any one of those names. So I just thought it's kind of funny, man. I mean, we love Corunna football, but man, they don't exactly have that kind of national talent. That you
I hear what you're saying. I mean, we do have people out of the area that would have no clue, but we also have a fair share in the area. So I'm just gonna call it like I see it.
But let's not bury the lead. This is all coming back to Goodrich versus Corunna Friday.
That's right.
Goodrich versus Corunna Friday at the Nick. It's not just because we're Corunna grads. That's going to be one heck of a game. Two undefeated teams in
the state, I would think.
Yep, 2 undefeated teams, top of their divisions. Like you said, Corunna's number 4. Goodrich is right up there too.
Number 1.
Corunna's first home game of the season, which is just still kind of crazy. 5 games in, but this is one of those that I remember my dad he would go to the Nick and like lay the blanket out on the bleachers at 9, 10 a.m. to like save his seat. You're gonna have to do that.
Down.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. I hope, like Jared, you said earlier, I hope that everyone in Corunna is at this game. I hope that there's no one left anywhere else except at the Nick.
Does Corunna still have the blocked press box entrance, Ted? I mean, you got to be worried about that, right?
No, they fixed it. They fixed it somehow. It'll be my first look at it, but apparently they've made it a walkway for us to get in. By the way, taking a quick look at the numbers, I mean, just think about this. Corunna averages 45.5 points a game, giving up only 6, and the Martians average 42.6, giving up 2 touchdowns, 14 a game, and they were the runner-up in the state last year. So this is going to be some kind of matchup. Real quick, like other games that we did have, New Lothrop, no problem with Lakeville, 54-zip. Durand pounded Mount Morris, 49-13. I mean, you have connections in Perry, Matt, 57-0 over Flint. Everybody got to play in that one, that's for sure.
Everyone got to play. It was their homecoming. You love having a game like that on homecoming.
You got to schedule homecomings that way for sure. Yeah. And Ovid Elsie, kind of a weird scheduled game against Shepherd out of conference, 42-16. Trice Tokar a couple of touchdowns, and they travel to Chesaning next week to take on Matt Walter and the Indians. So got some good football here now that we're in 5 weeks deep, heading to week 6.
I don't follow that team very closely, but every week you say the name Trice Tokar, and I'm thinking this guy is like, he's like Ronnie Bass. Like he should be like an elite, like high school quarterback. I don't know. Something about Trice Tokar. I can't wait to hear that name again next week.
He's pretty good, but I will say this, you'd knock him down a couple notches. I think he wears his uniform number. It's in the 20s, and he's the quarterback. I think he's number 21 or something.
But not great.
But he is an athlete too. He won the state championship in pole vaulting his sophomore and junior year. So Not bad. All right, guys, that's the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, college football, and Detroit Lions football right after this.